Hello everybody and welcome back to another Banking App Insights session, February 2023, and we're looking at the UK market, the main UK banks and the UK challenges. And this month, Tony Patrick, we are going to go and look a little bit deeper in some of those areas where, even though you may be number one bank in certain areas, it's very rare that you're number one across the board, and a great way to identify and focus on those areas that you can really dig down into to give you that overall lift and how to prioritize what areas of the app to focus on. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, my friend, and I'll let you work your magic with the data.
Brilliant, thank you, Glenn. So yeah, today looking at the main UK banks and the UK challenges, and let's have a look at how they stack up broadly, and even the leaders, as Glenn alluded to, is there's room for them to improve too. So let's just jump in and see what is going on. Now, just a quick overview. Now we've seen this before, but this is just looking at the 2022 trends, and obviously color coding there is really helpful because we can see things like when apps have picked up, when they've dropped away, and a clear one at the bottom there is how HSBC had picked up from mid-year and moved forward from there. So that's just a nice perspective. One of the things we can see is Starling, Lloyds, and Barclays sitting there in the top three. And we can sort of see, next we'll actually see why they're doing so well. So let's just jump forward and have a look at what's going on in here. So the first view we like to look at is this overall score. And we can see that the HSBC has jumped up, but one of the good things we can do is let's just put them to the side for the moment so we can sort of see what else is going on in here. One of the things is after the Santander drop in July, there's actually nice consistency across the year from there. One of the things we're also closely watching is this NatWest jump that we saw in November and how it's so tightly fighting it out with Lloyds at the top there. Very, very close. You can see there they sort of touched this point. There's a small gap now, but NatWest has done well to increase and maintain that position. And the only reason they haven't leapt ahead of Lloyds is because Lloyds has actually jumped slightly at a similar time. So lucky they've done that, otherwise they would have been in second place. So let's just move forward into this and have a look at some reasons why these apps perform the way they do. What we're looking at here is the major journeys. So looking at things that are probably 90% plus of what people are doing inside the app. So monitoring account activity, transferring between accounts, depositing a check, checking your account balance, and paying bills. So the majority of things you're going to do with the app, get these things right, and you're going to do very well in terms of your score and your overall presence in the market. So we saw that Lloyds is doing very well in terms of its score. So getting a high score here is really good. We can see here with the very simple thing of just monitoring your account activity, they are second overall. And the leader here is Starling. We'll cover Starling off in a bit more later. But Lloyds is doing well on that. They're doing first on transfer from accounts. One of the areas, though, potentially they could actually improve on is depositing a check. Even though they're leading in their area, there's a few others that they could learn from, the likes of Starling and Revolut. And the same here at the end here with Lloyds for paying bills. Very simple thing people want to be doing, but Barclays is actually doing better in that area. So Lloyds could learn from Barclays to improve there. So let's step forward and look at the UK challenges. So a lot going on in here, but let's have a look at a few things. One of them is the consistency of Starling. Now there's a few little jumps. So one down in November, they picked that up very fast. So they're onto these things fast if anything goes wrong. Averaging around 4.6, so up there globally in terms of the scores here. So very, very, very good for them. And others in here are doing well as well. One of the things we can see consistently are the likes of, let's have a look here in terms of Chase UK. So Chase has actually picked up and up and up. Now I think even though it's very, very slight, the number they have in February is slightly ahead of where they've been over the past 12 months. So very good for them, and hopefully they can hold that position and stay up there. Let's have a look though at those journeys, those all-important journeys, the reason for being for these apps and the reason customers are using these apps. So let's have a look. Now, one of the things I like to point out here is Starling is doing so well. However, there are two clear points where Starling could improve even further. So we see they're doing, they're leading on monitoring account activity, but they're only third on transferring between accounts. So some room to improve for them there. They could learn from the likes of Barclays and also from Lloyds, who are doing better in that area by a reasonable margin from 4 to 4.3, so doing very well there. They're doing well on check deposits, they're doing well on checking account balance, but paying bills. So that is a slight pain point for customers there. They're fifth. Now that seems doesn't seem to line up with their position in the market. So it just shows they still have room to go up a notch, and they could learn from the likes of Barclays and Chase sitting up here at 4.2. So a full 0.4 ahead of Starling there. So room to improve always for these apps. One of the things you have to be aware of, though, is, of course, these are ways to improve across the board. But what are the tangible outcomes of this? Obviously, you can improve your overall score. Great. You can retain customers. But one of the things we can see is when customers are actually giving feedback, they also talk about threatening churn. Now, just to give some context, so there's been a few studies around. Now, one of them, a few sort of line up in the sense that the main users of the app, around a third of those actually say if the app doesn't perform, it continues to underperform or causes bugs or doesn't do what it's supposed to do for me, I will actually leave. So a third are saying they would actually leave a bank because of a poor app performance. Now in here, we can see from the feedback, we're getting, even though we got this one here, so UK legacy banks, we got a 2.1% for one particular bank saying they will leave because of the current performance. Now, whether or not they follow through with that or not, you don't know, but at least it shows the relative performance of each of these. The best performing ones are sitting at 0.5 here. So it's looking at 4 times the level of people threatening churn for this one at the top here. And similarly here in the UK challenge banks, one of those is getting a 5%. So 5% of customers are saying they're going to leave because of the app performance. And that's around 5 times the level of the best performer in that area. So there's real tangible information you can get out of this and understand why would customers leave you. So what can you do about it? So we saw before the journeys can be underperforming. There's ways to improve even for the best players. What can you do? So obviously you can see the comments coming through, but along the way, what customers do, I'll show you what's happening inside here in a moment, but what customers do, they'll give feedback and give improvement suggestions. They'll say things like, this thing is missing, I'd rather it did this, I want to see this improvement here. What we're seeing here is a whole topic around missing app features. So customers mentioning that something's missing, they want there's something that was there before or it doesn't exist, they want some improvement somewhere. And also what we can do is look at this by various parts. So I can look at this by, for example, in the area of making a payment, there's suggestions around how can I improve the payment journey. There's a simple thing here, checking the account balance. So these sort of line up with those journeys we saw before. If I want to improve that, what do I need to do? So on the right here, I've actually got missing app features for checking your account balance. Very simple thing. But what we've got here is actually customers telling us how they can improve that particular journey. So if you can see you're not doing so well on that journey, you can go in here and actually see what customers are saying across the total market. So you can probably take advantage of that in the sense of things that customers are not seeing across the whole market. You can actually leap ahead of the others by putting those things in. So simple things. This one here, this customer here is talking about pending payments and balance after bills will be cool. It's missing some features there. A simple feature of hiding your balance when the app opens up. So interesting position there for that customer. Missing features like balance after regular bills are paid. So you check deposits and things like that. They want to see the balance immediately as that appears. Even this one's interesting. I'd like to actually have some more options of the app, like being able to hide the balance and movement, etc. This is similar to what we saw in the second one up here. So potentially a future improvement coming through. And this is across the market, across all the feedback. But of course, you can filter this down to your particular app and understand what improvements are required for you in particular. So learn from the market and then learn what you need to do specifically, and you're going to leap ahead of others, definitely. So thank you, Glenn.
Yet again, another masterful insight session on that UK market, my friend, and it's amazing how when you actually drill down into those different features and journeys, how you can really prioritize what area will make the biggest impact on that customer engagement and the customer experience. So thank you once again, and we'll see you all next month.